Okay, we'll have a moment of silent meditation and pledge to the flag. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting of the Monongalia County Commission to order. It is Wednesday, June 26, 2024 at 10 a.m. EST. Let the record reflect that all three commissioners are present. First item on the agenda is consent and approval with our administrator, Renee McClure. Good morning.
Good morning, Renee. We have 7 exonerations for you to approve, $28,048.44. Minutes for June 18th, 2024. Vouchers, General County, $35,393.88. 911, $1,217.33. Chestnut Ridge Park, $1,107.07. Camp Muffley, $22,310.94. Mason-Dixon Park, $1,729.81. Mon County Center, $5,934.31. Recreation levy, $1,127. Payroll, $1,151,733.67. Purchasing card vouchers, General County, $22,028.43. 911 at $254.48. Assessor's valuation, $8,203.55 for a voucher total of $1,251,40.47. No budget revisions. Position vacancies for boards and authorities are listed on the county website, and fiduciary orders for June 26, 2024.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent and agenda items as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any other fiduciary items?
We don't, Ms. Hall's here to give you an update.
Great.
Karen, would you like to come up?
Thank you.
Good morning.
The last conversation I'd had with Stephanie early last week, I didn't need to appear. I had filed a second amended annual accounting addressing every one of the issues in the objection, in the order that they wanted them. I put them in the spots that they wanted them to. So Stephanie had told me that basically, she said, under her estimation, it didn't matter whether Ms. Ross actually withdrew the objection or not, that I'd met that. She was going to send out the second annual amended receipts, disbursement, and distribution accounting to each of the heirs to see and give them the 10 days to see if they objected. And if they didn't, then she was going to recommend that it be accepted by you all. So I wanted to let you all know that, because as far as I know, I had not received a withdrawal of the objection, and I didn't know whether one had come into the office. I tried to call Stephanie this morning to verify that, but she's out of the office today doing something else.
Okay. For the record, could you let the clerk's office know what case estate this is?
Marjorie Langdon.
Okay.
Marjorie Langdon.
All right. And any questions?
No.
No.
All right, well,
Thank you.
Thank you
for-
very
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank you
your
for the
update.
update.
Thank you for coming
Appreciate
in
it.
and letting us know what's going on.
Introduction of new employees, personnel changes. Youth Services Center?
We have Abigail Pasak. She's moving from part-time to full-time, a youth crisis worker. Her salary would be $33,280 per year with full benefits. And start date is July 1st.
Move to approve the new employee as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Sheriff?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we can get a good look at you. I have Tavion Dillstone and Brady Summers, who will be starting July 1st as process transport officers, full benefits, starting salary $3,140.54 per month.
Okay. Move to approve the new transport officers as presented.
Second.
Okay. Where are you guys from?
Morgantown.
Morgantown? Great. All right.
Excellent.
Excellent. Welcome to the county. First and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Stay safe.
Thank you. Good luck.
Day
you, Sheriff.
Report Center.
Let's see here. Jackson Weiss is going to be transferred from part-time to full-time case manager for the Day Report Center. Will be obviously full-time, salaried at $34,000 a year with full benefits. Start date is July 1st.
Move to approve Jackson Weiss employment to the Day Report Center as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Assessor's Office. Morning, Patrick.
Morning, Patrick.
Morning.
All right, I have two employees this morning, and both of them actually returning
Great.
to us as well. The first one's Gracie Wilson. Gracie's worked the last couple summers as a part-time temporary person, and she applied for and got the job for a full-time personal property deputy. Her starting date would be July 1, 2023. It'd be full-time, 35 hours a week, with benefits eligible in a 90-day probationary period. And then the second one would be Madison Gumney. Madison had worked for us in the past doing the dog tag program, and she would be part-time temporary, 20 hours a week, with a start date of July 8th, 2024 as the dog tag data entry clerk.
Okay.
Okay. Move to approve the two employees to the Assessor's Office as presented.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Patrick. Have a great day.
Any other personnel?
Yes, 911 has one.
Oh, okay. Morning, Jimmy.
Morning, Jimmy.
Morning, Commissioners. Jonathan Thorne will be starting this evening at Mecca 911 with a monthly salary of $3,321.98.
Move to approve the 911 employee as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. That's all?
That is all.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is comments from the public. We will now open the comments from the public session of the meeting. Anybody wishing to be heard, please raise their hand, come forward, state their name and address. Okay. Seeing none. Go ahead and close comments from the public. Next item on the agenda is a presentation. Monty MS.
Forrest sends his regards. He had a family emergency that he had to go out of town for, so he's going to reschedule.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, okay.
Move on to the next item. Grants. Colleen Kuhn, our Commission Office Manager.
Good morning.
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 I have the grant contract for the Community Corrections Grant with the Day Report Center. They've been awarded $197,893. I have the resolution that reads as follows. The Monongalia County Commission met on Wednesday, June 26, 2024, with a quorum present and passed the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Monongalia County Commission hereby authorizes the Honorable Sean P. Sikora, President of the Monongalia County Commission, to act on its behalf to enter into a contractual agreement with the Division of Administrative Services, Justice and Community Services Section to receive and administer grant funds pursuant to the provisions of the West Virginia Community Corrections Grant Program. So you'll need to sign the grant contract agreement, the schedule of payments, which they've done the last few years, where they pay us quarterly, certification, compliance with the Equal Opportunity Employment Plan requirements, certifications regarding lobbying department, suspension and other responsibilities, and the standard conditions and assurances.
Move to approve the president signing the grant documents as requested.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Add your firstborn in there, too.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next item on the agenda is correspondence.
I have none.
None.
I have one that came through the county information line. It just says, wanted to just congratulate you all on being voted best in the state by the County Commission Association. Keep up the good work. Wanted to also congratulate Renetta as well. What an honor. All I can say is, wow, great job, everyone. Sincerely, Jody Marini.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business, which is none. New business. Consider approving an order amending the boundaries of the city of Morgantown as proposed in the petition for annexation without election, a certain parcel of real estate, particularly described as 6th Ward District, map 45, parcel 40. What's the will of the commission?
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, any
Quick
discussion?
discussion, yes. We reviewed this. It is an annexation by petition.
Right.
This is an area where you turn into Brookhaven Road off of Route 7. There on the left in front of the Park and Ride. Brewston Farm Service is the petitioner that owns that property and is asking to be brought into the city. And based on the laws of petition for annexation, I see no reason not to approve the request.
I agree.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Consider for approval an appointment to the Deckers Creek Public Service District.
You have one term that's expiring at the end of the month, Robert Markley. We've been advertising it. He wants to be reappointed. We have not received any other applications.
Move to approve Mr. Markley as appointment to the Deckers Creek Public Service District.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, consideration to approve employee handbook for the Montague County Commission to be effective July 1, 2024.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah.
It's certainly been a long process. We started this process in early 2023 where we gave all the offices an opportunity to fill out a HR needs assessment and weigh in on changes that needed to be made to our handbook and things that needed to be addressed. This handbook is meant to set expectations for employees, educate them on the workplace rights, and assist in mitigating risk. Providing a consistently updated handbook will supply a better framework for proper uniformity within the county between competing employee policies. I just wanted to, so we put this out there as a draft at the beginning of the month. We're approving it now. I think we need to discuss, it's our anticipation that we get feedback from the elected offices by the end of the month as to whether they're going to adopt it or have their own handbook reviewed and approved. We haven't really said anything publicly regarding that timeline, but I think that we shouldn't leave it open-ended.
I would like 30 days come
Okay, so the
from
end of the month.
the end of July.
To the end of the
To the end of
To
July.
the end of July.
I would amend it to, yeah.
So any amendments, so any proposed amendments from different offices should be to us by,
Well, this is going to
particular
be,
time.
an iterative process where over the years, it's going to be a living document. Anytime there's
Okay.
a proposed change, it should be forwarded to us and we will share that with our HR consultants and then we will post a revision to the handbook. So this isn't something that's, okay, it can't change. This is going to be expected to be a living document. What we're expecting is, we've now been talking about this for over 3 years. We've been very public about the whole process, and now we have a draft that we are approving, so we now have the official handbook of Montague County. And we need some confirmation from the elected offices whether they're going to accept this handbook as the handbook or whether they're going to propose addendums, as we discussed with a few offices, because we do recognize that different offices operate differently and we allow that flexibility. Or whether they're going to stick with their own handbook, but our requirement, if they are, is that it needs to be reviewed by legal or HR professionals and then forwarded to us as documentation that process has occurred, and we'd probably even look at it again with our HR consultants. The bottom line is we want a handbook that's up to date, consistent with all federal and state requirements. And then once those requirements are met, we certainly allow the flexibility of each office to run their offices how they see fit. This isn't meant to be an edict of telling people how to run their offices. It's really meant to be a tool to assist in doing in day-to-day operations and taking care of our employees from a legal perspective, and doing things right and consistently. So best practices and making sure that, we're not treating county employees that work in different offices differently. So that's the intent, and I would behoove any elected office to look at this. We've already done most of the legwork. If there are certain things that don't conflict with the way that office currently does business, I wouldn't reinvent the wheel. I would suggest an addendum to be submitted to us to be incorporated into this handbook rather than reinventing the wheel. But again, we're not going to tell each office how to do business, but we are responsible for the overall risk that is incurred when policies aren't followed, when statute isn't followed. So it's incumbent on us to make sure that each office is operating in a legal and compliant manner. So that's why we're requiring that there is something out there that is been reviewed and documented to be in compliance with all state and federal laws.
Okay. So the motion was to approve with an amendment for
Receiving.
receiving or incorporating any amendments by the 31st of July.
Not incorporating any amendments. I think that let's just take the one amendment first, or let's just take the motion to approve the handbook,
Okay.
and then we'll go to second. So we have a motion to approve the handbook in a second. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The second part of that is we want feedback from the elected offices as to whether they're going to incorporate it or have their own handbook reviewed and approved.
And submitted by, yes.
By a competent entity. By that, I mean legal, HR professional, whatever.
Yeah.
And submit it to us by the end of the month. So that would be, I think, what you're looking for, your second
Right,
motion.
Yes.
right. So I'd make said motion.
Okay.
Second, and I just want to make it clear that, 2023, we finally started the process of HR consultants. We do not have an HR department, and you have this many people, hundreds of people, and we have to update our handbook to meet the state and federal guidelines, and that is the key. And also, I want to clear that to solve many of the lawsuits that have come before the county, even though we weren't involved with it, as you said, we are the end result that the county is always has to follow through, and we're the ones being sued, that many of these issues will be able to be resolved now with this handbook and an updated handbook. And that was one of the problems. It wasn't updated, and we didn't have an HR department. So I believe this is a real positive step for everyone, for not only the elected officials, but also the citizens in the county that now know that there is an actual process that we're going through.
And there was a form that was actually
Yes.
sent out for the
Right.
elected office to acknowledge receipt and indicate whether they're going to approve the handbook or provide their own approved handbook. And in that, it clearly states that the commission, acting as the governing body and designated fiscal agent for the county, are ultimately responsible
Right.
for legal expenses and/or costs associated with any defense claims against any officers or employees of the county acting in their official capacity. Therefore, any type of employment claims that necessitate legal expenses or required settlement payments arising from employment-related claims against any elected officials and that official office chose not to elect and adopt the commission employee handbook, the elected official will be responsible for those expenses and costs. So I don't know whether the public realizes this, but anytime one of our offices gets sued,
Correct.
the county commission is the one that pays the bill. Well, if they're not going to have an approved handbook and they get sued and it arises from something in that handbook that doesn't meet statute, then those costs are going to be their responsibility. We can't change their budget, but it's a cost that they're going to have to bear, so they're going to have to figure out somewhere else where they have to cut their budget to allow for those expenses. Okay? So we have a first and a second on the second motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any more new business?
No.
Okay. All right. Reports from elected officials and/or department supervisors.
Assessor Music, how are you this morning?
Good
Good
morning.
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 Start off, congratulations. Award on the county, Ms. Renetta. Congratulations on yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
I'm here this morning to, as it is the end of June, and we're beginning our satellite season next month, and our mailings have gone out to our taxpayers for their personal property assessment returns. So they're on their way out there for people to receive, but we are beginning to start our satellites. I wanted to go over some of the things. We had a couple additions this year, and that we're proud to announce. We have our locations in place, but we've been working, let me rephrase that, not as much we as my administrative professional, Ms. Vicki McCord, over the last several years of trying to get a rabies clinic involved or the Humane Society, those involved with this part of our satellite. It may not be every location, but just a few. And through Vicki's communications back and forth, we finally were able to get a meeting with Miss Heather Rogers from the Humane Society, which we've brought in today. And they're going to join us on at least 5 of our locations this year from the Humane Society to help with that. And I will have her come up and kind of go over a little bit of stuff too, because it's an integral part. It's something we've been working on. We're finally got that piece rolling, and we're hoping that this continues and builds with some other things that we can do with the satellite. Also want to thank Jimmy and his crew over at Mecca, because this year, again, we're able to use the command center at 2 of our locations, as we've had in the last, well, since really COVID, in a sense, using it at our locations. It's very helpful, especially with the heat. We have that, and again, a shout out to those guys for assisting with us on 2 of our locations. So we have these sites coming up. We do kick off Tuesday, July 2nd at Morgantown High is usually our kickoff one we do there. We adjusted the hours this year. We're going 10 to 6. We figure it's a holiday week. It falls on Thursday, so we wanted to go later in the evening for the folks. And we're also still going to do that Saturday too. But I'll give you a copy of this for the rest of the schedule, and I'll give it to Ben. But at this time, I'd like for Ms. Heather Rogers to come up, just to kind of give a little story too here on what we've done and what her and Vicki have done, working on getting this together.
Thank you. Good morning.
Welcome.
Morning.
My name is Heather Rogers, and I'm president with the Monongalia County Humane Society. The Monongalia County Humane Society is a 501c3 nonprofit entity that's been founded here in Monongalia County. As you all are aware, pet overpopulation is a genuine issue in the county. Spaying and neutering are easy ways that pet owners can be part of the pet overpopulation solution, as well as help pets live healthy lives. I had the opportunity of meeting with Mr. Music and Vicki to discuss collaborating with the assessor's office and providing vouchers for spay-neuter and rabies vaccination to the residents of the underserved communities. The Humane Society has received grants from the West Virginia Department of Ag, or some of you all may be aware or know it as the West Virginia Spay-Neuter Assistance Program, to pursue the goal of increasing the number of dogs and cats to essential medical services such as rabies vaccinations, spaying, and neutering. By dispersing these spay-neuter vouchers to sterilize and vaccinate against rabies, we are helping to reduce the shelter population and costs. With the biggest benefit, of course, is that it prevents unwanted litters and threats to the public health and safety from rabies and other problems of abandoned dogs and cats. That's why I'm here today. The Mon County Humane Society would like to help the residents of Monongalia County to fight the overpopulation problems in these underserved communities by collaborating with the assessor's office at their satellite locations, by providing vouchers for spaying and neutering and a rabies vaccination, as well as provide education material on the importance of the spay-neuter. We've identified locations as being Arnottsville, Clay Battelle High School, Granville Town Hall, Smithtown Community Center, and Mason-Dixon Park. Spay-neuter is the only viable solution to reducing the pet overpopulation, and we will continue to issue vouchers to animal caregivers and to work with the local vet clinics that are committed to saving lives. I appreciate that I've had this opportunity to present to you today, and thank you for your time and attention.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Quick question. I know
Yes, sir.
obviously you're going to give out vouchers for spay and neuter. Will you be doing rabies shots there, or is that also a
No,
voucher?
sir, that is through the vet clinic.
Okay, but that would be good through anybody. How's that work? It's good for any vet in the county that someone
We
goes
have
to?
8 different clinics with whom we deal with in Monongalia County that are participants of the West Virginia Spay Neuter program.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
One last thing I just wanted to give to you all, just to go on record before it goes in. For those days that they're going to be with us, that's July, there's 2 on July 13th. That's Arnottsville and Clay Patel High School, and both are 9 to 12. July 20th at Granville, Town Hall, 9 to 12. July 20th, Smithtown Community Center, 9 to 12. And July 27th at Mason-Dixon Park, 9 to 12.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful, Mark. Anyone else?
Yes. Thank you. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, highlighted.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning,
Just a couple quick updates. First, as I'm sure you're aware, we've had some interesting weather here lately. A couple weeks ago, we had some downbursts of wind that really affected the Brookhaven, Cheat Lake, Tyrone Road area, along with the area over toward Mon General Hospital. But we end up with almost a little over 11,000 customers, power customers without power during that storm. The responders, the job that Mon Power did getting power restored. If nobody saw the Brookhaven area, 5 power poles down, large trees down. The one housing development out there was pretty much trapped. They had trees on both sides of the road, so they couldn't exit their housing development. But I think that all the responders, along with Power Company, did a fabulous job getting the roads cleared up and getting the power restored. Last week, we had some extremely high heat in our area. It didn't get as hot as what they initially was anticipating. The humidity kind of stayed down a little bit lower than what they were anticipating, which worked well. But again, today, this afternoon, we're looking at potential strong storms coming to our area again. Just something to be mindful for. It seems our weather patterns have changed a little bit here. We're picking up a little more of these severe storms a little more frequently than what we used to in the past. Another thing I'd like to discuss, a couple weeks ago, we had a meeting with our volunteer fire departments, along with a state representative came up, Jeff Perry. Jeff is pretty much in charge of the siren system, the radio communication system for the state. And as you know, on the western end, the only thing we own as a county is the tower, the building, the generator. All the radio equipment on the tower and in the tower belongs to the state of West Virginia. The Volunteer Fire Association does have a couple antennas on that for their paging system, but it seems they're having a communication issue out in the western end. And as we continue to expand Montague County, and we're seeing a lot more expansion heading toward that western end, our resources that our emergency personnel respond to out there is going to continue to increase. But there was some questions of why you could hit a Marion County dispatch center, but you couldn't hit Mecca Dispatch Center. That question came up. And so the state is actually bringing in some equipment to test their radios to see what's going on with their radio equipment out that way. And it could be as simple as the microwaves need more downward angle. We did get a report yesterday. Somebody spoke to me, said that they could hit Catherine's Tower in Washington, PA. So maybe it is needing a more downward angle in that area. Of course, the terrain in the western end, the way the lay of the land is out that way, it was brought up potentially maybe needing more towers toward our western end as we continue moving forward. The state is trying to pull a resource where they have a mobile antenna that they can bring to the area. The Volunteer Fire Association said we could set it up at Peddler to see if that helps at Route 7, Little Indian Creek Road area. There's been a dead spot along that Little Indian Creek Road area for quite a while. But it's something we're going to continue working with the state with to try to help them and help our responders out in that area. And the other thing is we start looking eastward out toward the Cheat Lake. We do have, the state does have a Sand Springs antenna up on that hill. We're going to have them going up more toward the right, going up Route 7 toward Masontown to check that area a little bit also.
Could you just make a clarification, because I had heard several individuals and there's a lot of confusion about the real reason why the tower had to be taken down out there?
Several years back, we noticed a bulge in one of the legs, and that was one of the original towers built, I think it was around 2004,
Right.
when the siren program came on board. And here's another little quick history of the siren program. The siren program was originated in Montague, Marion, and Harrison County in 2004 through federal money that came after 9/11. And so here in Mon, Marion, and Harrison County, yes, there's build out of the system throughout the state, and they have a lot of new equipment, but a lot of our equipment now is hitting end of life at 20 years old. But the tower in question at Catherine's, we noticed a bulge in the leg. We brought in the tower crew that inspected it. They said it was a fracture within the leg. Engineers came in, looked at it, declared that the tower was unstable at that point due to the fracture in the leg. And the fracture occurred from water getting into the leg, freezing and thawing, which fractured the leg. And at that point, tower crews refused to go onto the tower.
Right.
And it was determined that the tower was unsafe and needed to come down. And we had contracted to have that tower blown down, basically, so nobody would have to try to get on to take the tower down.
And the old tower was a little taller than the new tower.
Yeah, the old tower fell in line with the other. I think there was 6 or 7 of those towers between Mon, Marion, and Harrison were purchased and placed up. They were all the guide wire towers. It was a 480-foot tower. But again, it went back to one of the original issues in the western end is they were overshooting
Right.
the area down below, the Daybrook, Blacksville, Wadestown area. And so the state had came in and they had downward angled their equipment to hit that area instead of shooting so far out into Pennsylvania. And when we went to do the new tower, Motorola came in, the engineers came in, they did the prop studies. They said that the tower should be a self-supported tower and a 340 tower. So following the engineers' recommendations, we had recommended to the county for a 340 tower. That's been placed up. But again, it goes back to the state's going to look, do they still need to angle that down even more now? And so they're coming in, they were supposed to be here last week. I'm sure with the storms that occurred, they were unable to get here. I have a call in to Jeff to see when they are going to be able to get that equipment in. And what it is, it's basically a computer within a vehicle. They will drive the area, and as they're driving, the computer's pinging the towers, and it tells the computer what tower it's hitting. Because it's kind of, when you get out in that western end, the way the land lays, you can go all the way out through Route 7, and you're actually hitting Sand Springs Tower. Just the way the tower sets and is pointed that way. And then when you get out more toward Wadestown, because looking at our ArcGIS mapping, the angles of the mountains shift and turn. And so when you have that shift and turn in the mountains, then you start picking up different towers. But basically, if you think of the siren system, you think of a spider web, and that's how it all works. You know, for a basic transmission that comes out of Mecca, and if we're going to talk to a Western police officer, which is right down the road from us, it goes from Mecca to Harmony, from Harmony to Ida May, from Ida May to Shinston, from Shinston down to Clarksburg, and then back to the officer. Because Clarksburg is, they have Harrison County, Ohio County, and there's 2 down south that are the main hubs for the system. So every transmission you make follows a web back down to PK, what we call PK, because nobody can pronounce the name of the place, but we call PK, and then from PK it goes to that officer. And then when that officer keys up, it follows the spider web back. So it's a very complicated system. And all those radios throughout the system are owned by the state. And they've had a little turnover in their techs, so hopefully when they come in, they can troubleshoot their system out that way and let us know if they're having any problems.
Well, Jimmy, if you please keep us updated. And
Yeah.
the public should know that we've been, again, from the whole process with tearing down the Catherine's Knob tower to getting the new one up. We're putting the new one up during COVID. We had unexpected delays due to
Yeah.
everything that wasn't available, just like anything else. The cabling, you name it. So it's had its shares of troubles. There was a cell tower on the old one. County, we rented that to a cell company. That's not, the county isn't in the cellular business. They need, if it's not set up the way it needs to be currently, that's on the cell company to fix that issue. But when we're hearing about continuing communication issues, we want to help fix the problem. There's nothing gained by finger pointing and trying to make it look like we blew down a tire that was perfectly good. We're not going to sit back and take risk that someone can get hurt or killed by that tire just the next time it freezes. I was there when we demoed it. I got a video of water gushing out of the leg once it went down. The next freeze, that tire would have it was only take a freeze or two that winter, and that tire was coming down. I mean, without a doubt. So it doesn't do us any good revisiting what were logical steps taken by the commission and 911 to ensure the safety of our citizens. That doesn't help. What we need to look at, if there's problems coming forward, and Jimmy, I've been on your butt when there are still problems, and we've gone out there and we've met with them and we've tested radios and we've said, what's the next option? What's the next option? How do we fix that? We're not satisfied that it's perfect, and we're going to keep working on it. But the finger pointing and revisiting things that there is no defending not taking that tower down. And the engineering of the current tower, we follow the recommendations of our experts. We're not tower experts, and everything you're saying makes perfect sense. But I think we just need to focus on trying to fix the problem that as it remains, because it is an area that has a lot of issues, a lot of topographical issues, and we're interested in fixing those problems. I just wish that we would stop finger pointing and blaming every time the subject comes up as so somehow it's our fault that there's no communication, and somehow it's your fault that there's no communication. We just need to continuously work, because the most important thing is our first responders that are in need of that communication device. It's critical that they have that communication. We understand that. We're not going to sit back and let that not be addressed. But let's work together in addressing it instead of, we find out about things, or there's an article in the paper that somehow, here we go again, we took down a tire and just left it and don't care about the people that have to utilize that tower on the western end. Nothing could be farther from the truth. So,
Agree.
But I was very encouraged that Jeff Perry himself came to the meeting. That to me shows his and the state's support in trying to help address the issue, because Jeff is head of the siren system down to state level. So that was a very positive move, I believe.
All right.
Thank you for your update,
Thanks,
Jim. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Reports from county commissioners. Jeff?
A few things. Many of you probably saw Ben's article this morning on Bartlett House. That's still an ongoing process. Catholic Charities has stepped up with an intent to continue running the center, funding pending. To that end, I'd like to, this whole process has sort of been made possible starting with the efforts of our Senator Mike Oliveria with getting some assurances from the state that the funding that was lost at Bartlett could be reinstated. He's been essential in that process, and I just wanted to recognize his efforts and ask him to keep moving that forward. Lynn Dotson, the MCR board, sort of brought the proposal to Catholic Charities and has been working through that with them, along with members of City Council, and Danielle Trumbull and Brian Butcher and Mayor Celine have been essential in assisting in that process, as well as Commissioner Bloom and this commission in keeping Bartlett going. We provided some funding last meeting to keep the staff paid so that a transition could be made seamlessly and keep that essential place in business. It's needed. I'm glad we're transitioning this in the summertime and not in the middle of winter. And I'd just like to recognize all the people that have had an effort, and even the board at Bartlett House. Nick DeMedici has been working very hard to make sure that shelter can remain viable and move forward. Moving on, congratulations to Stepping Stones, the governor granting the $1.3 million for the all-inclusive playground. We were in on the ground floor of that program, committing a $300,000 matching grant for the money to be raised to complete that playground. So it's great to see that the funding has now been secured and that project will move forward. A couple of personal items, just like to note the passing of a longtime WVU School of Journalism professor, Ivan Pinnell. He was my professor and my advisor, and really the first professor that I had at WVU that got me excited about school, about college, about what you could do moving forward. He was a great mind and a very energetic individual, and loved by all that he worked with. And he passed away this week, and just like to pass along my condolences to his family and the whole community that worked with him. And the last thing, today marks the 58th anniversary of my parents. So happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. You have shown me how to do it right all these years, and congratulations. I love you. That's all.
Thanks, Jeff. Tom?
Yeah, thank you. First, I just want to add one more name. 3 years ago, when I was dealing with a number of the individuals working on like the warming shelter, it's ironic that Jeanette Lewis from United Way had said, we really need to reach out to Catholic charities because they are doing it up at Wheeling, and I'm really glad that we finally were able to do that. And I agree. I appreciate, Jeff, all the work you're doing on that. There are so many moving parts all the time, and I do appreciate the county and the city are working very closely to try and resolve that issue. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Second, I have basically all great news. Saturday, we had a food giveaway out at Clay Battelle, and we usually average only 75 families and only a few volunteers. And because of the hard work that Vanessa Price did and got everyone out there, we had the Clay Battelle football team, their new coach, Mr. LePeau. We had 3 separate Rotary clubs, churches, the Lions Club, and we serviced 331 families, which is the largest we've ever done in 5 years at any site. So I really want to thank Vanessa, and the people out of Clay Battelle were unbelievable. It was 94 degrees, 110 on the cement, and everyone stayed out there, and we were able to do that. Yesterday, my wife and I went out to Mason-Dixon Park for a picnic, and while we were there, I did not realize the 4-H camp was having their first ever 4-H camp out there, and it was fantastic to watch the kids be a part of something in the park. And while we were there was a school bus with Eddie Spaghetti, who was teaching them art. And then there was this other 6 families from all over Mon County that were out there using the facility. But the thing I liked most is, I hadn't seen it in 60 years being from Philadelphia, but the kids were swimming and playing in the creek. And if you want to talk about just a basic fun thing to do, they were having a great time, and I was really appreciative that the creek was clean. We've been real careful about that. So it was a really great event. The next thing I want to bring up is I reached out to Stephen Harris. Now you're going to say, who is Mr. Harris? And because the county commission allows me to be the person to be in charge with the DOH, I received a really frantic phone call from some individuals because there's all this construction, I don't know if you're aware of, that's going on 68 at the bridge that goes to our park, the Chestnut Ridge Park, and to Cooper's Rocks. And I asked what is going on, and this is what he said. There is a deck overlay project with incidental joint replacement and C&P. At times, the work will be 24 hours a day, but they will keep one lane open at all times. Other than one lane travel, there shouldn't be any change in traffic patterns, and the open section should be a lane plus most of the shoulder road, which will allow camping trailers to cross. And that was the big concern that I reached out to, and representatives from both parks called me to say, what's going on? Are we going to be able to have campers and trailers there? And yes, they can. And I do want to thank Mr. Harris. I mean, he called me back and wrote an email within 2 hours, and I really do appreciate that. So I think that is it. Yes, that's it.
All right, thank you, Tom. Since our last meeting, last Wednesday and Thursday were state holidays, but on Thursday I traveled down to Roanoke, Virginia for a WV Corp meeting. That board meeting was held on Friday. This week, Monday, I spent all day at W orientation. So it's the first time I've been through an orientation here
You're
at
going
W.
back to school.
Yeah. So Gwen is going to West Virginia University, and I'm happy that she's going to be home. But it was a pretty unique perspective. Talk about when we talk about wraparound services. The level of involvement that the school, the universities are involved with the students coming into the university is mind-boggling. I mean, when I started school, it was, you got a letter said you were accepted and good luck. Figure out where to go register, figure out where to get your classes, and you had to figure it out all on your own. And there was, you had an advisor if you want to go sit and wait 4 hours for them to talk to you. I told Gwenny as we were sitting in that meeting, they were talking about seeing your advisor. I said, you know who my advisor was in college? She said, who? I said, me. I said, I went to see my advisor one time, sat in the office for 3 hours, and they gave me my folder and said, here, they'll come and talk to you. Sat in the office for 3 hours and left and went home and never utilized an advisor. So it's so different now. But I want to applaud Gordon and the university for basically, they didn't leave out anything as far as just everything that they do to make sure that your kids coming here, and we're lucky, Gwen's going to live in a dorm downtown, but we're lucky that we're here. But any parent that was bringing their kid here has to be impressed with, you're not just dropping your kid off. You're dropping your kid off into a family. So I want to compliment Gordon and his team on the efforts that they are making to make sure that our kids are safe. Yesterday I had a meeting with Kim Haas, just a regular follow-up meeting that Kim and I have with Russ in regards to a number of items. Today's a regular day. Tomorrow I have Mylan Park Foundation Executive Committee meeting. And then at night we have our MMPO Policy Board meeting. Friday we have a staff report, and I have a local broadband team wrap up. And I got a note from Comcast yesterday. They were asking about the agreement, which took a couple days to get out to them. But they were asking about the agreement and already following up with a couple action items, and we have our first meeting scheduled for July 12th. I will be on vacation, but I didn't want to cancel that meeting. I'm still going to take that meeting because I want to keep the process moving forward, and hopefully we'll, not hopefully, we will have regular updates as far as that project as it evolves. From a general standpoint, I want to thank the commission and our staff for the work that they've done on this handbook. It has been a huge effort, and I think we have a pretty comprehensive group. I want to thank our consultants. And again, I want to reiterate that this is to protect the county, to protect our citizens by mitigating risk, and protect our employees above all. And I hope that it's given its due. Related to risk, I sit on the WV Corp board. I believe there's 5 county commissioners in the whole state that sit on that board, and I'm one of them. And it gives me a very unique perspective of risk. And I'm glad that, we switched to WV Corp, 4 years ago? 5. It has been nothing but wonderful. We are paying less. We got a discount again last year. It's a risk board that's run by a board that are commissioners, that are city managers, that are authority members. And I couldn't be happier with that move. I wish we would have done it earlier. But we are certainly saving the citizens money. And again, just the perspective to sit in those board meetings and the things we talk about all of our cases and claims that we have currently going on. And then we have the things that they're looking at to protect us, to make us think about things. Like, for instance, I never thought about, these POTAs that are going up all along these municipalities. They're like, as we renew, we're going to have to ask our member organizations, do you have a POTA? Because the insurance company needs to be aware of it, because there are risks that are incurred by having a POTA. So it's just things like that I'm sure, and we were sitting there and was like, well, how many are out there? They're like, I don't know. Like, we don't even know what we don't know, because, so we're going to be notifying our municipality members that, hey, if you have a POTA, you got to let us know so that we make sure that you're covered for any instances that happen around that. Baby boxes. That's another thing that's happening across the state. There's 2 or 3 of them across the state, and it's a potential liability to the entity, to the municipality who has that apparatus on their facility. So those are things where we're just looking at risk, and it's a very unique perspective, but that's really what our job is to look across the county and try to mitigate risk wherever we see it, and try to run this county as efficiently as possible. And the award that we announced last week, the County of the Year, is no surprise, and that's why, because we're running a county like a business. We're running a county. We're looking at things we should be looking at. We're not getting wallowed in political things. We're focused on the business of our citizens, and I hope that our citizens understand that. So, having said that, and I do want to make a point. I do want to make a plug for WV Corp, because I noticed that none of our municipalities are members. And I think you guys really need to look into it. I know, Mayor Lewis, you're here. I will certainly broker a conversation, because there is a local municipality that is saving 35% by moving over to the risk board. And we were concerned when we moved to the risk board, yeah, we may save some money, but what's it going to cost us? And the level of service went up and the cost went down, and we couldn't have hoped for a better outcome. So I would really encourage, if you're willing to, any of the municipalities are willing to sit down and have a proposal prepared. I know it's been a while since a lot of our municipalities are approached, because when I was looking at the roster of people they contacted, it was all people like, it still had Mayor Kawecki listed. It still had Davy Johnson. Somebody called Davy Johnson's office and are waiting for a call back. Well, Davy ain't gonna call back. So I would like to broker those discussions, because there is a local municipality that is changing over, and they were like, I can't believe they were paying this much for their insurance, and they're going to save 35% right off the bat. So it's something that I'd really like to help if you're interested in. So, having said that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned.